In this video, we're going to briefly look at some examples of taking derivatives of inverse trig functions. Hopefully you recall from pre-calculus what the inverse trig functions are. We are only going to focus in this video on how to take the derivatives of the inverse trig functions. And so we have 6 formulas here. The derivative of the inverse sine of x is 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. Derivative of cosine inverse of x is equal to negative 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared, and so on. You can read these rules on your own. But basically, if you see the sign, if f of x is equal to sine inverse of x, and we want to find f prime of x, all you have to do is apply that formula. So it's just 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. However, the formula only works if there's an x in this position. So if you have f of x is equal to sine inverse of, let's say, x squared, you're going to have to apply this rule as well as a chain rule, right? This is the composition of two functions, sine inverse of x and x squared. So let's go ahead and write it as the composition of two functions. If g of x is equal to sine inverse of x and h of x is equal to x squared, then f of x can be rewritten as g of h of x, correct? And then we applied the chain rule. So if we wanted to find f prime of x, you would apply this formula and you would go 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared, right? This is what is in the place of x up here, right? So it's going to be x squared, and then times the derivative of that inside function. So it's going to be times 2x. Let's look at one more example. Suppose we had f of x is equal to the tangent inverse, the sine of, let's say, x. So if we wanted to apply the formula, we look for the derivative of tangent inverse, right? And actually, it's not, if it was just an x here, then we would use that formula as it reads. But since there's another function inside of it, we have to apply the chain rule. So f prime of x is going to be equal to 1 over 1 plus, and whatever is in the place of x. So in this case, it's sine of x. We're going to square it, and then times the derivative of sine of x, which is cosine of x. And that's the chain rule being applied there. And we can simplify that to cosine of x all over 1 plus sine of x quantity squared.